Hey, what is up guys? It is J-Bob here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to build the ultimate infinite villager breeder here on Minecraft Bedrock Edition. This design today I'm showing you is super insane. The rates are absolutely astronomical. I mean, I'm talking you're getting 120 baby villagers every hour. Like, who would ever need that many villagers? But, you know, if you guys are working on a big trading hall in your world, or working on an iron farm, or maybe you're trying to build like your own custom village, this design is absolutely insane, and it will give you so many villagers you won't even know what to do with it. So yeah, let's go ahead and dive straight on into it. I went ahead and prepared a few chests here just to show you guys the building blocks that we're gonna need for this. So you're gonna need one slab, a few buckets of water, a hoe, quite a few building blocks. I would say around maybe 5 stacks of whatever building blocks you want to use. I'm going to go ahead and use glass today for the purpose of this tutorial. But yeah, feel free to dress this thing up. Be creative. Make it look great. Don't use glass like me. I mean, if you want to, you can. It's pretty cheap, but yeah, I would highly recommend sprucing this thing up a little bit. I'll show you guys a super cool kind of finished, fully decorated design towards the end. But yeah, you're also going to need one composter, a few stacks of trap doors. I think 2 to 3 stacks should probably do you. Then we're going to need a few signs, a piece of soul sand, a little bit of lighting, other that's torches, lanterns, shroom lights. Some beds. Now this farm is actually fully dependent on beds. This breeder is going to pump out as many villagers as you have beds. So the more beds you have, the more villagers you're going to get. With the design I'm going to show you today, with the amount of beds that you're going to place down, you're going to be getting around 120 villagers per hour, as I said. But yeah, you don't have to start off with as many beds as I do. You can literally start off with just literally 3 beds to get your first baby villager. But yeah, you can really expand this thing and get absolutely crazy rates out of this thing. And then lastly, we're just going to have a minecart and some rails and stuff like that to transport our villagers away from our farm to wherever you're wanting to go. But yeah, this villager breeder is absolutely insane, and it's even got a little system in place that will hold the baby villagers in place until they become adults, so you can actually sort them out and just have the adult villagers which are ready to go to use for whatever you want them for. So let's go ahead and grab a few things to get started with here. I'm going to grab the slab, the bucket of water, and our hoe to get started. What we're going to do is just go ahead and find ourselves a little area to build. Now, super important thing is you want to build this far away from any other villagers you have in your world. So if you have any villages nearby, any like trading halls or iron farms, make sure this is a good distance away from any of those. I find the plains biomes are really good because, you know, you got lots of grass here, and that's going to be great for the little farm that we're going to set up to make this an infinite villager breeder. So yeah, just make sure it's far away. Let's go ahead and get started by placing down one slab in the grounds like so. Kind of in the middle of where you would want your farm to be. And then you're going to go ahead and slap in some water, and then you're going to grab your hoe and then till the land 4 blocks out from the center on each side. And once you have that done, it should look something like this, a little plus or an X depending on which way you're looking at it. But then you're going to go ahead and just connect up the edges here and kind of make a little border around, and then fill in the centers as well. And once you're done, it should look something like this. A little 9x9 of tilled farmland with a little spot of water in the middle. But let's go ahead and grab some of our building blocks, some of our trap doors, our composter, our little shroom light block. Now again, you don't have to use the shroom light. You can kind of use whatever you want, but we're going to go ahead and place down our composter on top of our water source there. You're going to go ahead and crouch and place down a shroom block, or, you know, you could put a block on here with just some torches around the outside would work as well. Just something to light up the area. But then we're going to go ahead and come to our corners and place down 2 blocks like so. But yeah, next thing we want to do is just grab some temporary blocks. It could literally just be dirt or something like that. And then you want to come around the outside and make a little border around the outside of your glass. And then you should have something that looks like this. Now, what you want to go ahead and do is come here to the inside of the farm and start placing down a bunch of trap doors along the outside like so, and make sure they're in the open position. So make sure they're vertical, and just do that all the way around. And there you have it. So now that we have all of our trap doors in place, you can go ahead and remove all of those temporary blocks. So now what we're going to go ahead and do is come here to the outside of our farmland and just dig out a 2-block perimeter all the way around the outside. And once you have done that, it should look something like this. You should have a nice little 2-block perimeter all the way around the outside. Now, this is actually a good time to go ahead and get in your villagers. So just go ahead and break 2 of your trap doors, and then you can go ahead and either minecart them over here from your village, or you can actually get them over in a boat. So you go ahead and just try and push them in, and once they're in there, you can go ahead and just boat them into the farm like so. And once they're in there, you can just go ahead and break the boat. But make sure first, before you do so, you go ahead and put these trap doors back so that way they cannot escape and head back to wherever they came from. So yeah, there we go. We got our villager in here, but we're actually going to need 2. So make sure you get 2 villagers in here. And bing, bada, boom, we've got our 2 villagers in here. So let's go ahead, break our little temporary blocks, fix this up, and then we're going to go ahead and place down 2 of our beds. Now, the beds are actually super important because each villager needs to have a bed, and especially if we want one of them to become a farmer, they're going to need to have bed access. As you can see, they both just claimed their beds by the particle effects. This guy has now became our farmer, and he's ready to start planting some crops. So let's go ahead and actually just start getting some crops in here. Let me quickly show you. I have in a chest over here prepared. These are all the items or crops that you can use to have this farm work. You can have carrots, potatoes, wheat, and beetroots. But I personally think carrots are the best for this because the villagers plant the same thing that they're picking up, so they're only going to have carrots in their inventory, whereas potatoes, you sometimes get the rotten potatoes, which can take up space, and the wheat, they can actually sometimes craft into bread. So yeah, carrots are probably the best thing to do. I mean, you could also use beetroots, but like nobody uses beetroots, so let's just get these out of here. And yeah, we're going to go ahead and use carrots, but yeah, you could use literally any of these 3, but to get the best rates, you're probably going to want to use carrots if you have them. So let's go ahead and plant all of these carrots down here in our tilled land. And there we go. So now the next thing we want to do is go ahead and build up some more of our little glass pillars. And as I said before, you can literally use any building block you want, but we're going to go ahead and place these down on each corner of our little perimeter we dug around the outside. And now the next thing, we're going to go ahead and take our little trap doors here and just go ahead and place these all the way around the inside perimeter as well as the outside perimeter. And once you have that, it should look something like this. So you have trapdoors all the way around the inside as well as the outside. But now that we have that, we're going to go ahead and build up a little perimeter wall around the outside, simply just 2 blocks away from where our trapdoors are. So like on the other side of these beds. And we just want to go up at least 2 blocks all the way around. And this is so if any zombies or mobs are nearby, they aren't going to be getting to our villagers and turning them into zombie villagers or killing them. And once you have that complete, our next step is actually digging out underneath our farm here, so that way we can add in some water streams to collect up all of our baby villagers. So the first thing, we want to dig down kind of like 2 blocks and just kind of start clearing out everything underneath the farmland. And over here on the edges, you can go ahead and leave the blocks underneath our glass pillars here. And now that we have it all dug out, this is what it should look like. Just a big open 2-high area underneath our little farmland with our little pillars still here intact. The next thing we want to do is actually figure out where we want our little villagers to go after we have collected them. So I'm just going to go ahead and choose this side here for our little export zone for our adult villagers once we've kind of held them for a little bit as babies until they grow up. So what we're going to do is come here to the center and then come out right over here and just dig down just a few blocks so that we can kind of find it down below. So now what we want to do is, now that we have our side where our villagers are going to be heading out, we want to get our water system set up that kind of pushes them towards this corner here. So what we're going to do is actually dig all of this down 1 more block, except for this back little ledge on this side and this side, kind of opposite of the direction that we're going to be pushing them towards. And there we go. So now the next thing I want to do is go ahead and get some water, and we're going to place water in on all of the top of these blocks here. If you want, feel free to make yourself like a little infinite water source here, maybe in one of these walls just for the time being. So just go ahead and make one of those. And then just go ahead and fill all of these blocks on the top of our little ledge with a little water source. And then once you have that, you can kind of see that there's a little bit of a kind of a zone that they're being pushed towards, but we want to make sure that we have this one and this one pushed all the way up as well. So we're going to place one water source there and another water source here, just on each end of our little water streams here. And as you can see, we have a nice little square here where all of our villagers are being pushed towards. So now the next thing, we're going to dig this down just one block, and then we're going to come out two from this side here. And like so, we have our export zone over here where the villagers are going to be coming out of. So we're going to be placing water down on these. So we're going to come out 2 blocks from there and then go ahead and dig this down as well. And we can actually go ahead and dig this all the way up if you want. You can leave some blocks there, decorate it however you want. Just make sure you have a space where villagers can kind of head down this way. So now that we have that, we're going to go ahead and from here, we're going to dig back 4 blocks. And that's 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then we're just going to clear out this little area here. And then you should have something that looks like this. And if we did this correctly, we should be able to dig a few blocks and find the little hole that we dug down earlier. Sweet. So now we can actually go ahead and start building the little baby containment zone where we can hold them until they become adults. So what we want to do is here in this corner closest to where our villagers are going to be sent up, we're going to dig out these 4 blocks, and we're actually going to dig this down. Oh, we found a cave. We're going to dig this down 4 blocks. We can actually go ahead and put down some shroom lights for the floor so we can have some lighting down here. Or if you want to use glowstone, you don't really have to use lighting if you don't want to, but I just think it's nice so that the villagers can have some light. And actually, we need to build these up 1 more. So we should have 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks to the top of this here now. And what we want to do is go ahead and place down our trap doors and then go ahead and grab our signs. So we're going to go ahead and place these signs so that way no water can get down to touch our trap doors like so. And then we can go ahead and dig down these 2 blocks and dig this all the way over to where our villagers are going to be heading up to the surface. So now what we want to do is go ahead and add a water source in right here that's going to flow over this direction. And this is actually really cool. I'll show you guys quickly how this works. So the little babies are going to come down here, fall into this pit, and because they're really short, they can't actually reach this water. But because we have these trap doors down here, when they grow to adult villagers, they'll actually be tall enough, because they're a little bit taller than the player actually. So they'll be kind of sticking their heads in the water and they'll be drowning and they're like, oh, we need to swim. And then they'll get pushed over to where our little soul sand elevator is going to be. So yeah, pretty simple. But now we're going to go ahead and place in a few signs here. And this is going to stop our water from flowing down and kind of messing with this system here. But now that we have that, we can go ahead and place in our water buckets there. Just 4 water sources going across, which is going to lead down over into here. And then we're going to go ahead and place 1 more source in the corner, which is going to then push all of the villagers down into this little containment zone. I'm going to go ahead and add just a little bit of lighting down here, just to light it up just a touch so we have some lighting and no mobs could possibly spawn. Alright, so the next step is a little bit of a tricky one. We're going to come up here to the surface, and we're actually going to build a little zone for our villagers to come up and be held in here. So if you guys just want to follow along with what I am doing here, it's basically just 1 block, and we're going to have a few blocks on top of this here so the villagers can't escape. And then we're going to go ahead and bring it out 1 on each side and have it come forward just a few so that we can have some space for our villagers to be held, and then bring it across like so. So yeah, now as you can see, we'll go ahead and just fill this in with glass just to make sure no villagers do escape. But yeah, now when the villagers come up through the bubble column, which we'll set up here in a sec, they'll get pushed down over to one of these corners, which we are leaving empty so we can push our minecart in there and pick them up. But yeah, let's go ahead and set up our little bubble column here, if I can get my way back down here. And there's only 2 really ways you can do this. It's either by manually filling each block up here with water, or you can grab some kelp if you have it and just bring it all the way up to the top like so. And then once you have that, we can head back down, break the kelp. Those are all now source blocks, and we can actually set in our soul sand. And you're going to go ahead and place your soul sand right on top of that there, and there we go. We're going to place 2 signs, one there. Actually, 3 signs there. And one more up there. So we should have 3 signs now going up. I'm going to go ahead and place a block of stone or any block right there, just so no villagers could possibly kind of sneak and cut the corner. That just kind of stops the babies from kind of maybe skipping this section here. But yeah, this is the best system I've found for holding the babies until they become adults. So let's go ahead. We'll maybe put in a little light source here, and then we're going to grab a wall. But if we place down a wall, when the villagers float up here, they're actually going to get stepped up by the wall there because it's a little bit over a block tall, and then get pushed into this bubble column. What we do now is setting up our rails, which I'll quickly show you guys what to do. I like to use a powered rail and some regular rails. So just by setting a powered rail down on each side, and this is really handy too, because if you have multiple things you're needing villagers for, maybe an iron farm or a trading hall or whatever you're needing villagers for, this is cool because you can actually have 2 outputs going in 2 different directions, which is super handy. So I'll just go ahead and put blocks down on each of the corners, grab some minecarts, and then we can just slap these down on these rails for the time being, and then grab some buttons which we can place in front of our rails to power them, as you can see. But yeah, that's pretty much the entire thing completely done now. The only thing we have left to do is giving these guys a little bit of food to jumpstart them, and then placing in all of our beds. I like to go ahead and give them a full hot bar of carrots or 9 stacks to get started. And that's just enough so that they can have some in their inventory and be breeding for quite some time. Because sometimes, especially when you're just building this, it takes a while for these crops to grow and this farmer to start farming everything. But yeah, we've got everything set up, and now we can start placing in some beds. And what we basically just want to put down as many beds as we can possibly fit. Now, as I said in the beginning, this farm is all dependent on how many beds that you have. So the more beds you place, the more villagers you're able to breed. So you don't have to start off with as many beds as I'm placing down here. I'm just showing you for the tutorial that this is absolutely insane with the rates if you have this many beds down. But yeah, you definitely don't have to put down as many beds as I have. You can literally just start off with 3 beds to get your first baby, which these guys are working on now, which is pretty freaking cool. Pretty immediately after, look, we got ourselves a little baby. And now what's going to happen is baby villagers actually have a little mechanic where they actually like to jump on the beds. So this guy is going to try and find his way to a bed. He thinks these trapdoors are full blocks, and he's going to run over to a bed to start jumping on it. But then he's going to fall into our little trap, and he's going to get sent into the system. Eventually, he's going to make his way down and get stuck into our little baby catcher, and he will await the 20 minutes until he becomes a full adult, where he will float up and go and get caught in our system. There's another one. And yeah, that's the absolutely crazy thing about this farm. These guys are going to breed literally around the clock, through the night and everything. So this thing is going to keep going until all of these beds have a villager assigned to them. So yeah, if you ever have a problem with this farm, if it's not working, these guys are no longer breeding, make sure they do have some carrots that they can use to, do the breeding with, as well as you have enough beds around the outside. If you guys do have a bunch of villagers here that are waiting to be moved around, they're actually going to be claiming these beds still. So what you want to do is go ahead and send them off wherever you want them to go, give them a new bed, and then they're going to forget about the old one, and you can still use these ones here. Or another thing you can do is just break all of the beds and place them down again, and that will jumpstart the process as well. Now, one more thing I want to show you guys is just to build a roof. So I'm going to build up just 3 blocks on top of our exterior pillars here. And yeah, it's super important to have a roof on this villager breeder, because if lightning happens to strike near these villagers, they could be possibly killed or turned into witches, which would be very, very bad. And there we have it. The roof is all complete. This is basically the full completed villager breeder design. But yeah, that's basically the full thing. Look how many baby villagers we already have. I literally have just finished building this roof, and then this is how many we have. As I said, it's pretty much non-stop until they run out of food and they have to wait for the crops to grow, or they run out of beds to allocate the new villagers to. I'm going to go ahead and just patch this all up here. That's basically the whole system here. I'll quickly show you guys how the minecart setup works. So if you grab a little villager spawn egg just to get these guys in here real quick, we'll get a few villagers in here, and as you can see, they'll be pushed to the front of this, where we can then push a minecart up to the corner, and the villagers will be clipped through the wall into the minecart, or we can send them off wherever we want in the world. There we go. Ah, that seems to be the case. So yeah, if you do want to have the powered rails, you can't have glass. It has to be a solid block. But yeah, that's basically the full thing completed, and all of the mechanics and stuff like that you guys need to know. As you can see, these guys are still breeding. They're still going. They're going around the clock. Look how many baby villagers we have. This is absolutely insane. It's literally only been a few minutes and it's already cranking out villagers like no other. Well, let me go ahead and hop into another world real quick where I've kind of dressed up this villager breeder and made it look super nice to maybe give you guys a little inspiration of how you can clean this thing up and make it look really nice. But here we are on the other world where I have completely decorated the heck out of this villager breeder. As you can see, we've got the colored beds kind of with this little pattern in here, which looks nice with the water down below. We've got the trap doors going around the outside, the little lanterns with the fences going around. A nice little wheat farm going around the outside too to kind of add to the footprint. It's looking good. It looks like an established build in the world. We've also kind of decorated this little containment zone, and as you can see, this thing's been running for quite some time. We have so many villagers backed up in here. If you guys are planning on AFKing this and making, you know, a ton of villagers for whatever you may need in your world, I would maybe recommend making this a little bit bigger, because this thing is completely backed up with how fast this thing is. You know, down here we've kind of decorated this as well, even though no one's really gonna see it. We got the stone bricks and the lighting and even some trap doors underneath, which are completely pointless because if you're standing up here you can't even see them. But I think it looks nice, and it really just makes this a complete build that you can be super proud of. So yeah, take this for inspiration. You don't have to copy this exactly. If you want to, feel free. But yeah, be creative and make this thing look really cool. It will definitely be an absolutely amazing addition to your survival worlds. But with all of that, that wraps up the tutorial. Hopefully this was helpful and you guys got some now super epic villager breeders to work with in your worlds. But I have been J-Bob. You guys have been awesome. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.